All right, thank you. So I'll call to order the July 15th, 2024 Caroline County Broadband Advisory Committee meeting. We have a packed agenda tonight. As you can see on your screen, there are a bunch of updates that we have. So first off, everybody received the agenda earlier today. Try and get it all on one screen. That's close enough. Does anybody have any amendments to the agenda at this point?
No.
All right, hearing none, we will go forward with this agenda. I think it's going to be primarily the David show tonight. Sorry, David. Hopefully you got a bottle of water or your favorite drink next to you so that way you can keep your whistle wet. But go ahead and take it away with the old business then.
Yeah, so what we have tonight, I mean, we've got a lot of information that we're going to try to get out tonight, but we should be able to move through this agenda relatively quickly. So appreciate everyone that's on the Broadband Committee for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us tonight. Like I said, we're going to try to give out the most specific information that we have at this point. It's not enough to answer everyone's questions. Maybe Jason had mentioned maybe it's just enough to raise some questions, but you know, we do have that broadband inquiry form. So we're going to let everyone know what we have, and we'll go from there. So the first thing on the agenda under old business is the railroad crossing updates. As of this morning, the contractor that's actually performing the work is in contact with CSX, and they're working through the paperwork now so that they can get the flagger set up from CSX. So they are making progress. At least the right people are talking now. So hopefully that will move forward, and we'll be able to work towards getting those railroad crossings complete. In talking with Breezeline, based on the areas that they're moving into, the first railroad crossing that they're focusing on is the Panola Road crossing, which will allow them to serve the remaining portion of Panola Road from the railroad tracks down to 301. So progress is going forward with that. Hopefully by this time next month, we'll be able to report more of a time frame. That time frame has not been set. Flaggers have not been set at this point. Other than that, Jason, if no one has any questions, we can move on to the next item on the agenda.
Any questions on that? All right. We'll move down to the VADI 2023 updates, and we'll start with West.
So in the VADI 2023 West area, which is Verizon, there are 3 areas in that project area that they're working on. We reported last month, just prior to the meeting, they dropped the first area, which is somewhere in the neighborhood of about 360 addresses or so, maybe a few more than that, that are available for sale. So this is the area that connects back to the main equipment on Ladysmith Road, right across from the school there at Ladysmith. So anyone that's connecting back to that building, it's been released. That's about 360 of the 870 approximate addresses. So it's a large chunk, almost half. So they out of the 380 approximate addresses that they've dropped, they already have 100 customers in that area, and that was prior to them going out on their door knocking on Saturday and Sunday. They actually knocked on the doors of people that had it available to them and left door tags. So I would imagine the number is much higher than that by now. Again, I'd like to thank the board members for trying to help us get that word out about that being available, because prior to Verizon even starting to market, they had 100 people that were waiting in line. So it's being received well in that area. I've talked to several customers, and they are excited to be able to be on the list. I've actually gone to about 4 or 5 locations and followed up on the installs that were completed by Verizon. They appear to be doing an extremely professional job. If a customer calls in and sets up an appointment for a Verizon install, up to now anyway, they are able to get out and bury the fiber in the yard prior to the installer showing up at the scheduled time. And that way, when the installer gets there, he's able to complete the install. We're not running into a situation that we've seen in the past where contractors would come out, put a temporary line across the yard, tell you that they're going to come back to bury that, and then they never show back up. So that, up to this point anyway, has been avoided. The workmanship is very professional in the installs that they've done. They set up the internet connection, install the wireless modem, get everything working, and actually assist the customers in connecting to that new connection. So when they leave, the customers are actually running off the new connection. Just a reminder to everyone, if you're in that Verizon area, if you go to the website and go to the broadband page, there's a telephone number that you can call and a website that you can use to register to make sure they have contact information for you and they can reach out to you. If you're in that one of those 300 plus houses, when you call that number, they can actually set it up to install it right now. If not, they can update your contact information so they can get in touch with you easily once it is available to your address. So either way, if you're in the Verizon project area, you should be calling Verizon now, just to get on to make sure that all your information with them is up to date. The part of the reason why they need to do that is the project itself is going by house addresses. So a house number and a street address is what they've been working on. That comes from county records as far as where those houses are. The owners of the houses, they really haven't been tracking. So especially if you have a house, for example, that's owned by a landlord and rented by someone else, they'll need to know how to get in touch with the person that's living there that actually wants the service. So it's very important, if you live in the Verizon project area, that you reach out to Verizon now. And again, if you go to the Caroline County Broadband page, which was updated mid-June, and we'll probably put a little update tonight just based on the new numbers that we have. So go to that page, and there's up-to-date information and a telephone number that you can use to reach out to Verizon, or a website that you can actually go on and make sure that they have your up-to-date information. Other than that, West continues to go well. It is on schedule, way ahead of schedule. The 2 remaining areas that they have to install, quite a bit of work has been done at one of those 2 areas. However, now just keep in mind that the majority of the construction is complete. The only thing that they're working on now is just trying to get those the equipment that powers the actual houses installed. So, and Mr. Thomas, I think you joined again, so you'll get a little feedback. I just muted the last one that joined. So they're working on the remaining 2 pieces of equipment that power those connections. This part of the job is actually much slower than the construction, believe it or not. So getting those pieces in, installed, powered up, engineered, and all the engineering and routing to those pieces of equipment is a slow process. They're anticipating turning one of those 2 up by November. So it's only, a few months away. They'll be turning up another one and drop another group of addresses, and then the final and third should be shortly thereafter. This project ends April of next year, so before April, it should be available to all of the addresses that were listed in the grant. So this project continues to go well. Any questions about Caroline West? If not, we can move on to Caroline East. Jason, I think you need to stop sharing so I can share.
All right. Done.
All right, if everyone can see my screen. Can you see that, Jason?
Yes, sir. I can see it fine.
All right, so this is the area that Breeze Line is focusing on getting turned up. The first of many areas to be turned up. And if you notice, it's kind of down 721 Sparta Road, turns and goes up. I believe that's Maricasic, and goes up north all the way to South Boundary, and then back down towards Smoots. So this is the area. Now, these areas that I'm showing you are just an approximation of the areas. So please don't, again, if you ask me for a specific number on that street, it's not that detailed. Breeze Line is completed their design and engineering a few months back. So what they have now is a master list of addresses that they're working on, going through and scrubbing them from their system and making sure they're up to date. And hopefully within the next 30, 60, 90 days, we'll have an accurate list. So we would be able to tell you at that point, yes, your house is in this first group. That being said, also on the broadband page on the county website, there's a link that you can also pre-register, similar to Verizon, if you live in the Breeze Line project area. Just know that this is the first area that they're getting ready to turn up. So all permits have been issued. All make-ready work that's necessary from the co-op has been complete, and they're working to deliver service to this area, which should happen sometime probably in the next 3 or 4 months. So just be aware that that's happening. Now, what I'll show you is what's next. So these are the areas that they've also started the paperwork. They've applied for permits from VDOT. They're working with REC. And at this point, they could be waiting on an REC permit or a make ready work from REC or a VDOT permit. But they've already started working in most of these areas, and a lot of the underground is complete. So these are the areas down 721 and down through Schumansville, Bagby, Together. This is the area that they're working on. Now, know that where, if you go down Together down here where, I don't know, can you see my mouse?
Yes, I can see it. Mm-hmm.
All right. So if you go down here, it stops there. It doesn't include these roads north. Jason had asked me about that earlier. This is actually in a different GPON area. So this area, this part of the Sparta Central Point passing area will be in the next drop of addresses that they start working on, which will occur sometime after September. The way Breeze Line works, their budget year ends in September. So the areas in yellow that you're looking at now have already been released for paperwork. So they're working on those. And then I have one more area.
Before you do the next one, David, some of those areas in that particular slide, Breeze Line is using REC to run the cable pole to pole and then go back later and dig it up. Is that correct?
What they're doing is they are using REC, or they will place their overhead fiber on REC poles. So they have to get a permit from REC. REC comes out and inspects the poles when they apply for the permit. They may find that the pole needs to be replaced due to age, or the pole's not tall enough to take another strand at the bottom of the area that they can work in. So they may have to raise the pole. What happens is once they apply for these permits in these areas, and then as they start coming back in from REC, they consider the price of the pole permit for example, there are a few poles in this project area where it's cost $30,000 per pole, just because of what's already connected to that pole. And so, what they'll do is they'll take that information from REC and decide, is it best for us to go, pay $30,000 for for a pole? We need two. So now you're looking at $60,000, or is it cheaper to go underground? So they're going back and reworking that, similar to what they've already done in that Sparta North area that they're working to turn up. And there are, several areas there where it was cheaper for them to go underground. So they're not stopping or letting it stop or slow the progress of the project. They're continuing to move forward. So, but yes, they are using REC poles. This project is a combination of overhead suspended kick fiber as well as underground. But in these yellow areas, most of the underground is already in place that they're going to use. So people that live in these areas have already seen them working in the areas. For example, down here at Duggett's Fork, all the way across, that I've gone out and actually looked at that area, and the conduit is already in place. Some of this area down 301, they're actually going to go through the flats to get south of Bowling Green. And those permits, for example, are in VDOT's hands, and they're waiting on those permits to come back. But all of this yellow area, the permits have all been filed. The make-ready work has been filed with REC, and we're just waiting on that to start coming back. And as it comes back, they'll work through it and start completing the overhead, or going back and replacing that overhead span with underground. So they are actively working on this area. And then we have one more.
But David, isn't some of that already? I've noticed you've got all of Sparta Road from Newtown Road all the way up to 301. That should have been done 3 years ago.
And it was. It's just that's in the pond area, so it's showing in that pond area. But a lot of those addresses, were removed from the master address list when they go through and do the design and find that it's already served. So basically, the prior project that was completed that brought the fiber into the town of Bowling Green shot straight up 721. But at that point, other than just a few exceptions, they would not go off 721. So now they're going down 721 and going off side roads in both directions.
Right, but anybody on 721 should have had it.
Yeah, there's just a couple of changes that are taking place down towards actually closer to Sparta. Some of that may go back directly to St. Stephen's, where it would be moved to come up to the system that's with the rest of the county. But
what about the conduit they've already put in south all the way down to old Camp Easter Seal that's now Warrior's Heart?
That will be in the next project area, because let me show you this one last area.
All right.
And then we'll discuss that. All right. So what you're seeing now is an additional area that already has the conduit in place, or the permits. The permits are being applied for through REC or through VDOT. But this is in that next area that's already in permitting, and some of it's in construction. But you see the area that we discussed earlier over towards Sparta, to the right side of that. Just to the west of 301, you see Moores Mill Road and Panola up to the railroad tracks. And then if you jump over, you see Route 207. If you notice, the prior year's project came down to Panola Road and followed Panola Road down. Now they're picking up 207 from Panola all the way down to Coleman's Mill Crossing, and then cross to McDuff. So that should fill in that area. Now, Mr. Seeley, you were asking about like Camp Easter Seal. That is in the next drop of addresses that they intend to start working on. So they would go from Sparta east all the way to Passing and to the county line.
Yeah, because I think that conduit, haven't they already been to Warrior's Heart with fiber?
Warrior's Heart subscribed to what's called a DIA, a direct internet access line. And so, yes, that's been installed. There's some additional, because it is a single line going to them, there's additional equipment along that path that needs to be installed. And currently, by contract, we've agreed to assist Breezeline and Verizon in obtaining the right of ways if they need. So I'm working with Breezeline to try to get some permission to put equipment on a couple of different sites down 721 that's going to allow them to go out and actually serve the houses along that route. So yes, there is fiber. The conduit's in place. So when the construction actually starts in that direction, it'll go much faster. So part of that is already built out.
And David, Doggett's Fork is as far south as we are so far.
Yes, at this point. Now, again, we're in the, we're at the end of the budget year for them. So September, when their new budget year starts, their intentions are to move out and work on completing that RDOF area, Mr. Seeley, all the area that's out, west of or east of Sparta, down south, that hadn't been picked up or started already. That would be the next area. And then also pick up at Doggett's Fork and go south towards Dawn, working towards the Hanover County line to complete those areas. And that would drop into permitting and make ready phase of the job after September 1st. So probably for the next 12 months or so, they'll be working basically from Sparta Road south before they even start going north. So unfortunately, if you're in north of Bowling Green or due west of Bowling Green, you won't see a lot of activity in that area just because right now they're trying to finish up everything from Bowling Green south. And again, as we discussed earlier, the area is like a big daisy chain. So they have to start at hub, which is in Bowling Green, and work south. So they're building out from that point. And then they'll start working west and then north. So this is a 3-year project. We're looking at October 2026 for the completion of this project. So it's coming quicker than I can believe, but I know for the people that are in those areas that need internet, it's not fast enough. But just know that Breezeline is working, and they're working. And if we could look at the map all in one picture, but I wanted to try to zoom in so you could actually see some locations and street names. That's why we did it. We broke it into 3. But if you look at the map, you can see that a big chunk of area is being worked on right now, and progress is being made. This project, as well as like the Verizon project, is on or ahead of schedule. So we don't see any issues. The one issue that we are monitoring 2 issues in this project area, because this project is more overhead than the Verizon project. We continue to monitor closely the permitting and make ready work from REC, which at times has gotten slow, but I think has improving. But just know that statewide, a lot of the providers in these projects are having issues with co-ops and electric poles being delayed to the project. Right now, we don't see anything that would delay the completion of the project, but we do continue to monitor that closely. And then the other item that we're watching is the railroad crossings, and with the progress that's being made in that area, I believe that'll be resolved, and this project should be finished ahead of or on schedule. So there's no other concerns with that. Are there any other questions?
No, I'm good.
Mr. Thomas, did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. I just wanted to know how far south we've gone. Thank you.
So they have put a lot of conduit in the ground and getting ready to start placing some equipment down around Doggett's Fork. So they will be in that area shortly working and making good progress down there. Just so everyone knows, the information that we're releasing is the most up-to-date and accurate information that we have. So we're not holding back or withholding any data from anyone. We're giving it to you as quickly as we get it. We just try to take steps to make sure that what we do give you is accurate. So other than that, if you want to share back the agenda, Jason.
I will. All right.
So that completes the VATI 2023 updates. Now we have 2 dates that are coming up. The Bowling Green Harvest Festival in October of 2024. I don't have the date that is on there because I'm seeing mixed information on the internet. So Jeff Boyd, do you know, or Jeff Seeley, either you know the actual date for that Harvest Festival? October 19th on that. And then the same way, Jason Barlow, do you know that?
It's on the top.
Okay, so those are the 2 dates that we have coming up. I will tell you that it's, I spent probably 20 plus hours at the county fair with my presentation there, bringing people up to speed. I think that was extremely helpful in trying to get those 100 people signed up prior to Verizon even starting to advertise, along with the information that the board is putting out. So really looking forward to the Bowling Green Harvest Festival on the 19th and the Frog Level Fire Parade on the 26th. I'm hoping that by having that much of an advance notice, we're hoping to have someone with Verizon there and BreezeLine if possible. It's primarily in the BreezeLine service area. However, the Harvest Festival is attended by people from across the county. And then on the 26th, we go down to Frog Level. We've been there a couple of times already, and we always have really good participation with county residents at that event as well. So looking forward to doing that and just trying to get the word out that it is coming and give people the information necessary so they can pre-register or register, or even if they're one of the lucky ones, go ahead and set up an install date. Right now, with about 100 plus customers either online or in line to be installed, it's taken about 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks for the installs to happen, which is a little bit slower than what they were when they first started because, they were coming in at a slower rate. So in the Verizon area. And again, we're continuing to monitor the east area. And as soon as those addresses open up for sale north of Sparta, we will let you know. And then also continue to update both this committee and the public via these meetings as the progress goes along. Other than that, if there's any questions about anything we covered quite a bit. Just know that we are trying to give you as much detail as we have, and we'll continue to try to do that. All right, Jason. Yes, sir.
I'm good.
All right. Thank you.
Do we want to talk about our next meeting? I've got it. David and I have it down as August 19th at 7 p.m. Is there any reason we can't do that date? All right. We'll make it August 19th. This will be more of a, we discussed and called these fireside chats. which kind of tonight was almost a fireside chat also, because we really didn't have anything to vote on or anything really for the committee to, approve or anything. It was more informational. So hopefully by August 19th, we'll have some even more good information and, maps and things like that kind of detailed out. So
I have a question, Jason, and I guess this goes to David. Is it at all possible that we could get estimates from Breezeline and Verizon of when they would connect certain areas? Not specific dates, but first quarter 25, second quarter 25, third quarter 24, things like that.
Yeah, we are getting closer to the point where we would be able to do longer estimates, Mr. Thomas. The only reservation that I'm getting from Breezeline on their projection, and again, in Verizon, a lot of the project to the south, they're estimating November for that, and then probably December, January timeframe for the remaining part of their project. But because the Carolina East project is relying a lot on REC and VDOT permits and railroad crossings, we can get a loose estimate as far as time, but a lot of it's going to depend on stuff that's just out of their control. So, but
yeah, and that's good. What I would like to see is fourth quarter 24 and an asterisk pending VDOT approval, pending REC approval, just to give people some idea, because I know we've been hoping for this for a long time, just to let them know how close it really is.
And I will continue to press Breezeline to try to get as much of that as we can, because I know just, in my business, I'm seeing people calling in saying, hey, I know we got Breezeline or we have Verizon coming. I really need internet. Do I need to go with Starlink now or can I wait? So if we can get those rough estimates, I think that would make that a lot easier. And this conversation is exactly the conversation that I had with Breezeline earlier today. So they're working toward that. It's not that they're withholding. It's just right now there's a lot of things outside of their control. So.
Well, if I may, I need to give you a specific example of why that's important. I had a person stop me at Food Line and say, when is it coming to actually the other side of Sparta? Because that's where my mother lives. And she's got one of those Ring phones or whatever that I monitor, but her internet is slow, so I can't see it in real time.
So
his question was, do I get something else or do I wait?
So that area, according to Breezeline, that area would be released to permitting, and they would start requesting those REC and VDOT permits after September. So you'd be looking at October. They should start working in that area and releasing permits.
So we can safely say fourth quarter 24.
There should be activity, depending on how much they start or what part of that huge area that they're starting after September, that they're actually, would start actually, connecting customers. So, but again, I'll continue to press them for those dates and hopefully we can get them to give me their best guesstimates at this point. It's a lot, and we do have some people that don't understand why Breezeline can't tell them exactly when they're going to be to their house, and that's just because it's a lot of information and a lot of pieces to the puzzle that are out of their control to be able to do that.
Exactly. Okay.
And I think, if you don't mind, I think you need to be careful, even with guesstimates of what you tell people, because a lot of times people hear the date that you tell them in a guesstimate and they soon forget that it was actually a guesstimate, and you end up getting the Breezeline and other companies get criticized because they haven't done what they thought was going to actually happen. So I think there has to be an awful lot of stuff put out there to make people fully understand and realize that, even though this is a date, that's what they're shooting for, there's a good possibility that anything could delay it. I just know that from experience of stuff that I've dealt with in the past. You just really need to be very careful.
And that's a great point, Frank. And that's why I say we, give a range or a quarter and then highlight the fact that it may or might not come because of other conditions. But I just want people to be able to say, okay, I'm a year away at least. I need to do something right now. Or maybe I'm 3 months away. I can wait.
Right.
And I believe the areas that we discussed earlier, Mr. Thomas, some of those areas are probably still a year away, even though we're, they started the permitting in the underground and they know what areas they're going south. I think most of the areas should be quicker than that. But when you get either below that area or east of that area, it could be 12 months or more away. But I'll work on getting as much information as I can from them. I think like any other company, they would always rather under promise and over deliver, and that's
exactly. I don't think anybody's ever been mad when they got a service before it was promised.
Yeah. So and that's why earlier in the project when it first started, I was getting really pressed through the broadband inquiry form to give people dates. And at that point, the only thing we could say is, the project's on schedule. It will be completed by October 2026. But, beyond that, it's just really difficult. So hopefully, for example, that one area that we discussed earlier in Sparta, that area, we could probably get a date for that because that's pretty much most all the pieces and parts are together on that. The conduit's either in the ground, they've got some fiber already pulled through the fiber, they've got some splicing already done in that area. The areas that they chose to go underground instead of overhead have already been permitted out. That conduit's in the ground, so that area we could probably give a pretty decent estimate on that because most of the areas that could be a delay, have already been completed in that area. So, and that's what we're going to see across the county as the project starts moving forward. We'll get to a point, for example, like that Sparta area, where now we can give you an estimate, but it's just very difficult at this point. We're still too early in the project to be able to look way out in the project and give people accurate times. The only thing, we might be able to give you estimates, but that's about the best we can do at this point. Any other questions? All right, Jason.
I guess we will call this one a wrap, and we will see everybody back on August 19th.
I would move to adjourn.
Right.
Second. Thank you.
The first vote that we've had all night. All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Goodbye.